Hey guys, it's Penguin here and welcome back to another gold making video. In today's video, we are finally going to be talking about TSM and Dragonflight, and I have a bit of a TSM profile to share with you. Now, hold on, I know a lot of you right now are scrolling looking for that download link, but please watch this full video. Due to the complexity of Dragonflight, this profile is not just plug and play, you have to modify some things, so if you don't watch this video and you just install it, you're either going to lose gold or be very confused. But I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch it. If you have questions, my Discord is always open, or the comments down below, but let's dive into this. And so to start off, let's actually download this profile. What you're going to have to do is join the Discord. I will have it linked into the description, completely free to do. Once you verify yourself, you will have access to the free tools channel, and the link will be right there to download this profile. Once you click on the link, you just want to copy the string. Then once you're in game, just type in /TSM, go over to groups. If you're currently using a profile, you'll want to go to settings and make a new group right here. Then make your way over to groups, it'll be a blank slate, then just click this little import button, copy and paste, and you'll see something like this. It may be slightly different because I haven't grouped these all under one group yet, but it's going to be very similar. After that, you're good to go, and now you have all of the groups and all of the operations that we'll be talking about today. Now, in addition to this profile, technically this isn't required, but I do want to bring it up. I have a little bit of a price change suggestion for many of you. To those who don't know, if you go over to settings and then hit crafting, you can modify the methods that TSM uses to determine the value of crafted items and materials. First of all, if you guys do not see this times 0.95 right here, I highly recommend it. This is the craft value of your crafted item, and this times 0.95 is so that you can take into account that 5% auction house cut. So I definitely recommend that if you don't have it already. The second recommendation that I have is actually for the price of materials, and that is changing this DB market into DB recent. Now, if you guys have been a veteran of TSM, you guys probably don't exactly know what that is because it's a newer price source, but basically this is the in-between DB market and DB min buyout. With the current state of Dragonflight, with prices changing constantly, especially with the news of 10.1, coming out relatively soon, prices are changing drastically all the time. And because of that constant changing, DB market is just too slow to keep up with prices. To those who don't know, DB market is the 14-day or 2-week average of prices. So right here, if we just hover over this awakened earth, you can see that market value right now is 48 gold. So that is the average price of awakened earth for the past 2 weeks. And in this case, that's actually pretty close to the current value. But what DB Recent does is take that same formula for DB Market, but instead of it being an average over 14 days, it's just an average of the last snapshot. So it's a bit more stable than DB Min Buyout, and it's also a bit more frequent, I should say, than DB Market. Ultimately, this change is up to you, but this is something you have to change on your client. It has nothing to do with the profile, so I wanted to point that out. And so after you decide whether you want to make those changes or not, and you've imported the profile, you're almost good to go. So let's just kind of dive into the profile, and I'll highlight a few things. So once again, all you have to do is type /TSM, go over to groups, and you will have the majority of groups. Now, you will quickly realize this is not a full-on profile, and I'll explain that in just 1 second. Firstly, to the farmers out there, I have a little bit of a raw mats section for you. So if you just want to sell some mats on the auction house, feel free to do so. All of them are gathered right here. Then we have 3 fully finished groups. The first one is basic blue gear. Now, a thing to realize is all of these are highest quality. So all of these are rank 5 pieces of item. Think of it as it's just the highest item level. Nobody's going to buy the lower stuff, so I don't have that grouped. But these are applied to all of their own operations, and they're separated by type. So if we go over here and go to cloth, you'll see the 316s, which is the rank 5 lower item levels, and then you have the 343s, which is the rank 5 of the higher item levels. Then we have the same exact thing, of course, with its unique operations for PvP gear. Same thing, all rank 5 of the basic PvP gear. Now, I do have a slightly different operation attached to rings, trinkets, and necks, just because they're a bit of a faster seller, and generally they're worth a little bit more. Then, lastly, we have profession tools, which is exactly what it says. Now, to clarify, all of these are grouped by profession in terms of who wears it. So if you click on alchemy, for example, it is the alchemy tools. So this is not the tools that alchemy makes per se, but it's the tools that alchemy wears. So I hope that makes sense. Herbalism right here, technically the floral basket is made by leatherworking, but because it's an herbalism item, it's grouped under herbalism. So just pointing that one out, and hopefully that makes sense. Now, the last group that we have is the general professions, and you will quickly realize that not everything is there, and actually most of it is not. So if we actually look at this, as you guys can see, for enchanting, there's nothing there. For engineering, there's nothing there. Technically for alchemy, I do have some pre-made groups, but nothing's there, etc. The reason for this is pretty simple. It's because not everybody can craft the same items, and depending on what you're going to craft, your TSM is going to look a lot different. What I mean by that is if you are a lower level scribe, the only sort of missives you're ever going to be able to craft is, let's say, rank 1s or 2s. However, if you are a high level scribe, you can guarantee 3s. And so instead of trying to account for all of that, that is where you're going to have to go in and edit these a little bit. But don't worry, I'll show you how to do that. Now, despite many of these being blank, I do already have some items added in. For example, shovels I already have in for blacksmithing with its own operation, just because these are an easy item to produce. Also, cooking, since there's no quality issues, this is all fully fledged out. It has all of the cooking items, operations, etc. I do have contracts, only the rank 3s for inscription, and for tailoring I have bags, and that's really it. And so that is kind of the quick overview of this profile. Now you'll see at the beginning when I said you would be very, very confused if you just downloaded it. That is why, because a lot of stuff is missing. But now let's actually dive into how to use this and edit it to your needs. And let's start this with the items that are already good to go. So all of the gear, the profession tools, cooking, bags, all of that. Firstly, feel free to go through the operations. For example, right now, if we look at cooking, almost all items are set to about a 15% profit margin, so if you want something better than that, feel free to go through here and edit it. I have this set to be as clear as it can, and let's dive into restocking. So let's say we are going to go and restock some of our gear. We'll open up the TSM crafting window, and up here we have restock groups. If you guys are a new TSM user, you can kind of ignore this disclaimer, but many people are a little bit caught off guard with the UI revamp that we have compared to Shadowlands, but in terms of functionality, it works the same. So we click restock groups and we can select exactly what we want to restock. In this case, let's just do Crimson Combatant Gear. You can choose exactly which one you want. You know, just to keep it simple, currently I'm on a blacksmith, so let's say I only want to do plate. And sure, we can also do the basic blue gear. Now you can do all of this, you don't have to just have what's on your character. And then, let's just do these two and hit restock. Then it will take into account any items I already have crafted. It will also take into account profit and all of that, and it has displayed a queue. So currently the max restock is 3 of each item, and you can see that I am basically out of everything besides one belt. If you want to see the overall cost and profit, hover over this right here, and based on all of the current prices, it's going to cost me a little over 11,000 gold to craft, and I'm going to make about 50,000 gold profit. The reason for that is right here, there's some pretty steep margins on my server. For example, the chest guards right now are making 1,600 gold each. Who knows if they'll actually sell at that price, but I have to admit, I'm on a medium pop, there's some pretty crazy prices. And then right here, this is definitely inflated at 7,000 gold. I don't expect it to actually sell for that much, but that is how it's getting those numbers. After this, all I have to do is click Gathering, select the toon, and also select the profession or professions that you want to see, and it will give you a restock queue. After that, you can just go on to the auction house and look for these items. Now, technically, it's telling me that it's profitable to craft my own alloys, so I can go and, go do that, but for the sake of this video and just for time, I'm going to buy them. But what you can either do is just quickly, go here and click on this, search it up, and just buy it off the normal auction house. Or if you go over to the TSM window, go over to Browse, open up your task list, which will populate somewhere over here, then there will be a little bit of a buy column right there, and all you have to do is hit Scan All. Then all of the items you need will populate. In this case, it's just the ire, but I can hit Buy Out. It'll select exactly how much I need, which is 24. And then all I have to do is hit Buy. Now, the reason why the alloys aren't showing up is because it wants me to craft it, but for the sake, I'm just going to quickly buy it. It wants me to buy or craft quality 3, so right here I need 42. Boom, there we go. Then we can just go over to the mailbox, pick up both of that, and we have our materials. Now all we have to do is just make our way over to the blacksmithing area, open up our menu, go over to crafting, and then just hit Craft Next. And it will just use all of the items and, craft everything. We're producing quality 5. Everything is good. So I'll skip through this once everything's crafted. And alright, everything is crafted, so now all you would have to do is just go to the auction house or send your items to whoever, sells everything. Open up the auction house, go to auctioning, select what you want to sell. If you're just gonna do everything, you can select everything besides base group. But in our case, this is just the crimson gear. I don't want to accidentally auction off materials in my inventory, so we'll just select that, hit post, and there we go. It will undercut everything, and then all I have to do is just scroll my mouse wheel or click post if you have a macro or not, and it will post everything based on your auctioning operation. And boom, we have all of that posted and we're good to go. So that's just a quick demo, but in our case, if you're interested, I can select all of these groups right here. Here, let's just select gear, tools, and then let's say we wanted to restock bags per se. We can have all of that selected, hit restock, and it makes that whole queue. It separates it by characters who can craft it, all of that, and of course there's some inflation in there, so I would not expect this much profit. Just have to check prices, but it's going to cost me about 36k, and supposedly I'll be making $500,000, but definitely some inflation in there. And then of course, if we go to gathering, I have all of the crafters, all of my different characters, select their professions, etc. But this is great, it tells you exactly what to buy, and it speeds up crafting significantly. And alright, Penguin, that's the obvious stuff, that's the good to go stuff, but what about items that are technically profitable, but TSM doesn't think so? And that is where we're going to get into the modification. And one of the best examples to use for this is gems. So for example, let's say I want to restock gems. I am using the default auction house, and let's say I go to craft this, right? I'm using Auctionator, doing my generalized restocking, and sweet, this emerald is profitable. And the reason why it's profitable is because of my multi-craft and my resourcefulness. A huge thing to note is that I have to be able to guarantee the highest level. Inspiration does not count in this section, so this only works for items that can guarantee the highest profit. But let's say we want TSM to be able to post these items for us. However, we crafted some and we hover over the tooltip, and TSM thinks we are losing a ton of gold and we're not making profit. And that is because TSM currently doesn't take in any of those procs. Well, thankfully, another fellow YouTuber, The Lazy Goldmaker, he is an amazing creator, has come up with a spreadsheet to help us fix this. You heard spreadsheet, but don't worry, it's super easy. So I will have his video as well as the spreadsheet linked down below, but if I pull it up on my screen right now, you basically just have to fill in a few questions. First of all, you need to put in your multi-craft percentage. So if I hide that real quick, my multi-craft percentage based on all my stuff is 15%. So I can go over to that sheet and quickly type in 15%. Then depending on if there's a multi-craft node giving you a bonus, so for example, if you have the multi-craft node for potions, then you would want to fill in any sort of extra percent right there. For jewel crafting, we have none of that. And then we also want to put in our resourcefulness, which our resourcefulness is 13%. So there we go. And we do, in fact, if we go over to our specializations, I have this right here. I only have the first one. It's not maxed for me, but because I have this resourcefulness node, I am saving an additional 5%. If you had this maxed out, you would have an additional 50%, but due to my 5, I will just put that in the spreadsheet right here, that 5%, and then it will ask you for your minimum profit margin. Now, this strictly is personal preference, but in my case, I generally like to make 15% profit, so I already have that filled in, and it's going to give you a suggested minimum price. What this is calculating is that the standard crafting cost of an item is just 100% crafting. However, with all of these additional procs of additional items or saving materials, technically our average crafting cost compared to the normal TSM one is only about 78%. So when using that and calculating our minimum profit for our auctioning operation, we only need 90% crafting, we don't need 115%. So what do we do with that information? What we can do is open up our TSM profile. You may have to group the items if they're not there already, but I have already grouped them right here, all of the quality 3s. Then go over and I will have to make a auctioning operation, but I've already attached it to these right here. And if we go into the posting operation, boom, right there, our minimum price is 90%. So it is using all of those procs and everything, and that is the minimum price that we need to sell for our 15% profit. Maximum can be whatever you want, normal can be whatever you want, and now you're good to go. Now, technically, you could get crazy with the crafting operations, but my suggestion is to still just craft without TSM. So I would go here, buy the items, and just craft through the default UI. But when you go to post, I just already have some in my inventory. You can go up here, select that group, hit post, and boom, there we go. Now, one of them have fallen below the price, but, I have the Malachite right here and the other energized Emerald, and these will post. And now, because this is a very competitive market, you can continue to post with TSM just like normal and make sure you're still making plenty of gold. I have my post cap set to 20, but boom, there we go, we're already getting sales. Now these are quickly going to get undercut, as you guys can see, but all I have to do is to, run a post scan again, and boom, post another 20 to stay competitive. Of course, run a cancel scan if you need to, but this is just a quick way to be able to post with TSM while using correct crafting profits. And yeah, that is kind of how you go about selling different items. Now, technically, if all of that made sense, you are kind of good to go. You can skip this section of the video. Please still go to the ending remarks, but I just wanted to quickly highlight that process we just did with another group of items. So let's say I'm somebody who just downloaded this profile, but I want to sell missives, right? I'm using my standard craft sim going through here, and let's see what missives are looking like. And so boom, right here, according to my procs, I can make about 31 gold profit, and I want to be able to use TSM to post these items. Technically, TSM right now is still saying that it's profit, but I'm only making 13 gold, so we just need to correct that real quick. What I'll need to do is go over into my TSM, make sure the profile is selected, and because, you know, I don't already have these, at least at the time of recording, I'll have to go into Inscription, and let's just make a group called Missives. Then a quick way to add items is if you go into base group, make sure you are looking at either item level or specific item, depending on what you're grouping, and you can just look up whatever you're trying to craft. So in this case, it's Draconic Missives, and what I can just do is go through here. I can guarantee quality 3. Remember, you have to guarantee them, and I can just go through here and select all quality 3. Boom, there we go. Then select group, it's going to be the missive group, move 13 items, and boom. If we go over here, we now have some missives. Then we're going to want to calculate our minimum crafting cost. So what we're going to want to do, you know, we have 15% multi-craft. That's actually the same as the gems. I did not plan that. And to just double check, you know, you can check on the nodes to see if you're getting any sort of additional multi-craft stuff. But for Inscription, you should not be, but feel free to check just in case. Then we have Resourcefulness, which in my case is 25. And if we go over here, I have the Resourcefulness node, which right here, this is saving 5% additional reagents, 10, so that's 15. Another 10, 25, with another 25, so 50. So with any single profession, if you have this maxed out, it's going to be an additional 50. And then, like I said, I generally want to make a 15%, you know, profit. So my spreadsheet will look something like this. I got the 15, 25, 50. And so the answer right here is 83% crafting. So now I can go back into my TSM, go into my group, operations, override and create an auctioning, add more, create new, just rename it to whatever you want. In this case, I'll make it simple with missives. Go into posting, set whatever parameters you like. Let's say I want to post 20 missives at a time, and boom, right here, that minimum, you know, you can go into here and erase everything if you like, and you're going to change it to that 83% crafting. Save and close, boom. Maximum doesn't really matter, you know, we could just set that. I like to go 500% crafting. Some people will say that's too high. Just to make normal simple, I'll do 300% crafting, and boom, you know, in about less than a few minutes, we have this all set up. Once again, remember you're going to use default UI to craft them. You can set up a crafting operation if you like, but boom, here we go. So now if we were to go craft some of those items, let's see, do I have any materials on me? I do. Let me just go craft a few to test this out. Then if we go to TSM, you know, just so I don't accidentally auction off anything I don't want, we'll select missives, hit post, and boom. It will use that 83% margin, and we can quickly just post. Of course, TSM errors happen. Remember, TSM is not perfect. If that ever happens, just do a quick reload. You know, we're doing this live. TSM errors happen, sadly, pretty often. But boom, missives, try it again, and boom, they're posted. And so yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I know this profile is not as extravagant as the Shadowlands one. Don't worry, I will be continuing to build this, but just know that you do have to edit it to fit your needs. TSM is still not perfect. Remember the general rules of TSM. You're not using the current auction house prices. You're using DB recent, DB market, whatever that price source is. So, you know, be careful of prices, but if you set it up like this, you're going to have some pretty good results. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, or join our Discord so you can share screenshots, because generally that's the easiest way to troubleshoot. Once again, as TSM adapts, as TSM becomes better, starts taking into account all of these different inspiration, multi-craft, etc., this profile will get more fleshed out, but hopefully this can give you a good starting point. Shout out to the Lazy Gold Maker, give him some love for making that spreadsheet, calculating all of that for us, and thank you guys so much for watching. It's a long video. If you guys made it this far, you know, leave me a comment telling me that, but thank you guys so much for watching it all the way through, And as always, have a good day, everybody.